Hi there, VC. Steve Whitty here. Time for another video. Before I start going on about this video, I would like to thank everyone who commented on my last video and viewed it. It was nice to have the feedback. I think out of when doing VC videos, I think that's the thing, is that it's the feedback you get and the comments that make it worthwhile. I'm going to keep it back to basics a little bit. So this video is going to be some albums that I've listened to recently. 10 albums I'm going to show you. Some of you who know me from Instagram will know I've played these because I've already posted photos of them on Instagram. That tends to be my social media outlet of choice. But here you go. So first album, I'll show you. There we go. Is Neil Young with Crazy Horse. Everybody knows this is Nowhere. I think it's fair to say this is his first his first classic post Buffalo Springfield album. And yeah, it's this is a reissue. It's not an original. You've got here obviously the opening. It's Cinnamon Girl, which is sort of like his first big track. Everybody knows This Is Nowhere. Side one closes Down by the River. I just love that track. It's such a dark track, but yeah, it's just so simple with just the basic, basic verse and chorus. And then you close the album with Cowgirl in the Sand on side two. So I would consider this to be Neil Young's first classic post Buffalo Springfield album. There you go. Next is The Undisputed Truth, Face to Face with the Truth. Reason I picked this up, in the shop, Pete turned me on to Temptations, Norman Whitfield era, and in a sense, this is follows on. This is another Norman Whitfield production, and I think it's great. I mean, the Undisputed Truth albums, when I see them, I think, oh, I'll get it next time in the shop, and it's like gone. You know, they do go very quickly. And it's on the Gordy label, so one of the offshoots of, there you go, of the Motown empire. On there, I mean, what I like about it, it just follows the same path as what Temptations do. You've got Superstar on here on side two. And they do a version of Marvin Gaye's What's Going On as well, which closes the album. It just follows that more that, it's probably not as psych as the Temptations were, but it still follows that line. I actually really enjoy it. I must admit, I do want to get some more of their albums. It's really enjoyable. Late 60s, early 70s funk. You've got some of the musicians on here. James Jameson, he's featured on bass. We've got El Van Dyke on piano. A plethora of drummers. Dennis Coffey plays the lead guitar. This is just absolutely wonderful. Well worth seeking out. Every now and again, I do have to scratch that Fab Four itch, and this is the Beatles' Past Masters. This is my D'Agostini Beatles collection edition. Sounds great. And as I'm trying to think when it came out, because I don't think I think it might come out in 2 volumes, volume 1 and volume 2 originally. I think it might be in the 80s it came out. But yeah, this is, as it says, it's Past Masters. It's sort of like a best of. It's best of the Beatles with a bit of a difference. So you've got Love Me Do on here, which opens it. And you do From Me to You, and then like some album tracks, B-sides, Thank You Girl, I'll Get You. Then you do She Loves You, and side one closes with Come On, Give Me Dean Hand, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and She Liebt Mich Dick, She Loves You, but both recorded in German. Try and cash in on the German market at the time. Side two, Long Tall Sally, I Call Your Name, Slow Down, Matchbox, I Feel Fine, She's a Woman, Bad Boy, Yes, It Is, I'm Down. And what I like about this whole presentation of the album, so you've got, it's in 2 discs. Disc 1 is like showing the parlophone, and disc 2 in black is showing it as Apple. I've got my Apple upside down. There you go. And so on disc 2, not all the tracks that are on disc 2 were issued on Apple. For example, you've got, it starts with Day Tripper, We Can Work It Out, Paperback Writer. It includes Rain, the B-side of Paperback Writer, and some will say that's one of the finest tracks that the Beatles never released as a single. Lady Madonna, Inner Light, Hey Jude, and Revolution. And then side 4, you've got Get Back, Don't Let Me Down, and they've got to put credit in for Billy Preston, Ballad of John and Yoko, Oh Brown Shoe, Across the Universe, Let It Be. And then they closed the album with them just fooling around. Which one they Let It Be? You Know My Name, Look Up My Number, which is it off tape. But yeah, sometimes you do have to scratch that Fab 4 itch sometimes. And I do like the Beatles. Not an obsessive, but I do like the Beatles, and I do like listening to them now and again. Also, I've had time to listen to this. This is Jack Bruce's solo debut album, Songs for a Tailor. The only one to chart post Cream. It's a wonderful album. And you can see that the lyrics are done by Pete Brown. You got music, lyrics, Jack Bruce, Pete Brown. Pete Brown passed away sadly a few months ago, and it sort of follows on from Cream, but hinting towards more other influences, Jack Bruce's influences, such as jazz. But yeah, I actually really enjoy this record. Musicians that are featured on here, you've got Dick Hextall Smith, saxophone is on here. Yeah, Chris Redding on guitar, must have been one of his early sessions. Yeah, so really good. John Heisman on drums is featured on a couple of tracks. This is really good. I recommend this. As Jack Bruce moved on, it moved towards his solo albums, towards his more, I think, jazz influences. Primarily, he was a jazz musician. Before he joined Cookie Lang and Leslie West. So this is well worth having. Had time to have a listen to this Roberta Flack's self-titled album. This came out, I think, is 78. This isn't a patch on her early album. It's a good album, but it sort of teeters towards the sort of disco that was coming in at the time. Yeah, and I think it does suffer a little bit for it, but it's not a bad album. There's nothing that really stands out, you know. I think if it's one of these albums, if I was to do a call, it might be one of those that might be going, that might go. There you go. One such album that wouldn't go in a call, and this is Serge Gainsbourg, History de Melody Nelson. 71 it came out. This is a reissue where you've got the album on one disc and you've got the sessions on the other. What stands out for me, I can't understand a bloody word of it. It's in French, but it's the musicianship. The bass on this is just really something to behold. Jane Birkin appears, who was his wife at that time. I think they got married by that time. Gainsbourg, a bit of a one-off character. This is, as I say, just wonderful. Basically, if you don't know the premise, it's a bit like a concept album. It tells the story of a guy who meets a girl from Sunderland called Melody Nelson. Sunderland, of all places. Jane Birkin must have said, well, we'll just pick Sunderland or something like that. And if you don't know, Sunderland's right in the northeast of England. And the album just basically tells a man's obsession. I think she ends up getting pregnant by him, and I don't think she was. I don't think she was legal age. You wouldn't get away with this album these days. But musically, it's just absolutely stonking. It just stands out. I mean, I don't know too much about Gainsbourg. I know about Je t'aime mon amour, I think it's how you go with it. Which was a #1 in the UK, and that's partly because it was just literally 4 minutes of heavy breathing. But I would say this is just worth seeking out if you haven't heard it. It's just a great album. Musicianship's just top notch. Lynyrd Skynyrd Street Survivors. Yeah, I've got it with the cover. Obviously, it's one of those. It was the last album released. We all know what happened just after the plane crash. In fact, the inner sleeve's got the dates of the tour, and I'm trying to think which one it was. It was very early into the tour. It might have been very early in the tour when they took off in the plane. It crashed into the swamp, killing Ronnie Van Sant and Steve and I think it's Cassie Gaines. Yeah, and obviously put the band in a bit of a hiatus at that time. Gary Rossington did put it back together in the 80s. As a result, the album itself, they reissued the albums without the flames. So you can get both copies. But the album itself is a good album. It's just following on what they were doing. Skynyrd at the time. Best known tracks, What's Your Name? That's Smell. It's just good. It's just good time rock and roll. But it's one of those what ifs. With Ronnie Van Sant, how his writing would have developed if they'd survived. Would they have carried on? Bands didn't. Bands split up quite easily in those times. But they were on the verge. They're big, but they were on the verge of, I think, breaking through big time. Album I haven't listened to in ages, and it's partly influenced by the fact that I was at Bearded Theory a few weeks ago, and I didn't get round to seeing him, but I heard him from where I was. I could hear him because the plan was, we'll go round and see him. I didn't know that we'll catch Cars, and then he played Cars right at the start. This is The Pleasure Principle, Gary Numan. His debut solo album released in '79. At this point, he couldn't do any wrong in the UK. Our Friends Electric by Tubeway Army had just been a #1 single. Cars had been a #1 single as well. This album came out, and it's a great album. Some great songs on it. You've got Complex, which is a single that I didn't like at the time, but it's a track I've grown to love. It's a very melancholy. It's got a viola on it, not on the synthesizer. It's quite a slow track. It's a really beautiful track. The track Me on there, which I think Bassman Jacks might have used as an influence for one of their songs, Where Your Head's At. You've obviously got Cars is on here. airplay, very minimalistic. It's around this point his fortune started to change. He toured and Newman got a lot of stick at the time for the stage show being too much like Bowie. He was influenced by Bowie, but some were saying he literally copied Bowie's stage show. But it's a great album. I won't leave it so long till the next time I listen to it. So from my rocking days of my youth, Rainbow Long Live Rock and Roll from 1978. This would be the last album to feature Ronnie James Dio. Yeah, it's on here. You've got Casey Fowler on drums, but you've got Bob Daisley on bass and David Stone on keyboards. This is not. It was a progression from Rainbow Rising, the previous studio album, where the songs were shorter, so there was no epic Stargazer. And so you've got Long Live Rock and Roll, which opens. On opening side 2 was Kill the King, which had previously appeared on Rainbow on Stage, the live version. Gates of Babylon's a great track on here, and the album closing with Rainbow Eyes. Dio left because Richie Blackmore wanted to go in a more commercial direction, and I think when he saw what sort of songs that were going to sing, he just didn't want to know. It wasn't really his bag. Good album, not up with the best, but it's an album that takes me back to the youth. And then if you open up the inner sleeve, the gatefold, you got Long Live Rock and Roll, and that photo is taken from a Rush concert, because the original photo would have Rush on there. And final album I'm going to show you, it's Rolling Stones, It's Only Rock and Roll. Last album to feature Mick Taylor, 74 it came out. Not a patch on the earlier albums of the 70s. Good, but not up there. They do a version of Ain't Too Proud to Beg. It's Only Rock and Roll. Those are the singles there. You Dance Little Sister. That's a good track. Time Waits for No One. It's not, as I say, you compare it to Exile, Sticky Fingers, and even Goat's Head Soup. It's just not quite up there. Mick Taylor was to go soon, not too long after that, and then Ronnie Wood came in, and as I say, this sort of album sort of closes an era for me for the Stones. So there you go. Hope you liked what I've shown. As I say, thank you for those that are watching. Yeah, all I ever ask for really is just leave a comment and I'll get back to you. Not like straight away, but I will get back to you. I do promise that. So as for me, it's Thursday. I've got the rest of the week off. So I'm going to enjoy a bit of the sunshine. So whatever you do, VC, take care of yourselves, keep spinning. More importantly, keep on smiling.